everyone. Nice to meet you again. I'm Dr. Zhang. This week, we'll discuss the cardiovascular system. You may recall from our previous discussions that the internal environment of tissue cells must be maintained at a constant level. Every moment, tissue cells take up nutrients and oxygen and get rid of waste. How to ensure a continuous supply of nutrients and prevent a buildup of waste? This is done by the cardiovascular system. How does the heart work? What are the functions of the blood vessels? What will happen if the heart fails to function normally? We will come up with the answers through the discussion of the functions of the cardiovascular system. Here are the learning objectives for you. At the end of this chapter, students should be able to explain the mechanical and electrical mechanisms of cardiac function, describe factors modifying cardiac output, explain factors regulating arterial and venous blood pressures, and explain neural and hormonal controls of cardiovascular function. And finally, predict the consequences caused by abnormal cardiac functions. Today, I will give you a brief introduction of the cardiovascular system. This is the transport system. Its main function is to deliver blood to the tissues, providing essential nutrients to the cells for metabolism, and removing waste from the cells. Overall, the cardiovascular system aims to establish an appropriate internal environment for the optimal survival and function of the cells. The cardiovascular system includes the heart and blood vessels. The heart functions as a pump to drive blood into the blood vessels distributed throughout the whole body. The heart is actually composed of the two separate parts. The right heart that pumps blood through the lungs, known as the pulmonary circulation, and the left heart that delivers blood to all other organs and tissues, known as the systemic circulation. Each side of the heart has two chambers, an atrium and a ventricle, connected by one-way valve called atrioventricular valve. The left heart and the right heart work in series so that blood is pumped sequentially from the left heart to the systemic circulation, back to the right heart through the pulmonary circulation, and then return to the left heart. The volume of blood pumped from each ventricle is called the cardiac output. The blood return to the atria from the veins is known as the venous return. Because the left heart and the right heart operate in series, the cardiac output from and the venous return to the left and right heart are equal in a steady state. The blood vessels form a closed system of passive conduits. They deliver blood to and from the tissues where nutrients and waste are exchanged. Arteries carry blood from the heart to the tissues. They are under high pressure and constitute a relatively small percentage of the total blood volume. The veins carry blood from the tissues back to the heart. They are under low pressure and make up the largest percentage of the blood volume. Exchange of nutrients, waste, and fluid occurs across the walls of capillaries. Cardiac muscle, known as myocardium, is formed by many individual cells connected in series and in parallel with one another. Intercalated discs separate individual cardiac muscle cells from one another. Gap junctions at each intercalated disc are permeable to ions and allow rapid connection of an action potential from one cardiac muscle cell to the next. And so, all the cardiac muscle fibers contract and relax like a single unit called syncytium. The heart actually is composed of two syncytia, the atrial syncytium and the ventricular syncytium. The atria are separated from the ventricles by fibrous tissue that surrounds the atrioventricular valvular opening between the atria and the ventricles. The two functional syncytia allow the atria to contract a short time ahead of ventricular contraction, which is important for effective cardiac function. Cardiac cells can be classified into contractile cells and conducting cells. Contractile cells are the working cells of the heart, including atrial muscle and ventricular muscle cells. They constitute the majority of atria and ventricular tissues. Conducting cells form the tissues of the AC node, the atrial internodal tracts, the AV node, the bundle of His, and the Purkinje system. These cells make up the intrinsic conduction system of the heart. Conducting cells are specialized muscle cells. They can generate action potentials spontaneously. Therefore, they are called autorhythmic cells. Conducting cells transmit the action potentials rapidly over the entire myocardium. Cardiac muscle has three types of ion channels. Fast sodium channels, slow sodium calcium channels, and potassium channels. These channels play important roles in causing the voltage changes of the action potential. Fast sodium channels are responsible for the rapid upstroke spike of the ventricular action potential. The slow sodium calcium channels contribute to the plateau of the ventricular action potential. Finally, potassium channels bring about repolarization and it returns the membrane potential to its resting level. So next time, we'll discuss the cardiac conductivity in detail. In summary, the cardiovascular system is composed of the heart and blood vessels. Right heart pumps blood to the lungs, and the left heart drives blood to all other organs or tissues. Blood vessels include arteries, veins, and capillaries. The heart is a syncytium. All the cardiac muscle fibers contract and relax like a single unit. That's all for today. See you next time. Thank you.